Yo, what's going on, guys? I'm back with another video. Today, we're gonna react to a superstar who doomed a whole Japanese station overnight, bro. A whole Japanese, a whole Japanese TV station overnight ruined by this one dude. Let's check it out.
Very simple question for you. What is the anime with the most episodes? Well,
One Piece.
most people
No, it's
include
not One Piece. There's one anime who has more episodes than One Piece. It's like a detective anime. I forgot what it was called.
you might probably reply with One Piece, an ongoing anime currently sitting at over 1,100 episodes, and it doesn't seem like it'll stop anytime soon. But what if I told you that One Piece doesn't even rank in the top 10? It's actually the 16th. The anime with the most episodes is none other than Sazae-san, currently sitting at 2,771 episodes. And by the way, it's still ongoing. It's a very well-known anime in Japan featuring the daily lives of a family. It has been running for over 50 years since 1969, and the TV station behind it is none other than Fuji TV, one of the biggest television stations in Japan. At its peak, this show enjoyed some of the biggest sponsors you can imagine. Nintendo, Amazon, Toyota, you name it. The list was
no small sponsor, big sponsors, bro. But what happened to Nintendo, bro? In the last 10 years, bro, Nintendo just plummeting, bro. Like, I don't see anyone talk about owning a freaking Switch, bro. Like, who owns a Switch?
Endless. But in 2025, everything has changed. For the first time in over 50 years since this show was aired, the commercial breaks were completely empty. Every single sponsor had pulled out from one of Japan's most recognizable shows. And that's because Fuji TV is in the middle of one of the biggest Japanese entertainment scandals in recent history. It involves one of the most significant Japanese superstars of the 21st century, and it has forced him to retire permanently. Now Fuji TV faces an existential crisis. In other Japanese...
Bro, it's always this, bro. It's always this, bro. Motherfuckers are too horny, bro. These dudes are too horny, bro, because it's always this. It is always this that ruins careers, bro.
TV networks are currently scrambling to conduct internal investigations to make sure they don't end up the same way. So what the hell is happening right now, and why is the Japanese entertainment industry on fire? Well, let's talk about it. Japan has a lot of unique buildings. Come on, where would you find this other than Japan? Some are so unique sometimes that they become iconic. And then you have Fuji TV's headquarters. If I had a time machine back in the 70s and went to the future, this is what I would expect everything to look, okay? And it's a symbol of Fuji TV's once incredible power. But that's not to say that they didn't have humble beginnings. They started off with this building as their headquarters in 1961, and then switched to this building on the same year before going to their HQ of today. They then grew very quickly and wasted no time innovating where others didn't. Just like the US, Japan had its own Big Three. These were present during the golden age of television in the 1980s: NBC, CBS, and ABC. So Fuji TV wasn't just a part of those Japanese Big Three, they were also leading them. Instead of just focusing on being a television network, they very early on became a media conglomerate, owning their own anime studio, David Production, and even partnering up conglomerate, owning their own...
They made JoJo Bizarre Adventures.
Own anime studio, David Production, and even partnering up with Nintendo. They had helped publish 2 games in Japan: All Night Nippon Super Mario Bros. In 1986 and Doki Doki Panic. There's a good chance you've probably never heard of this game. Well, that's because it was reskinned and rebranded as Super Mario Bros. 2 for the...
Okay, so this is the original, or...?
United States. This long-time partnership with Nintendo had its benefits even today. Fuji Television was the only channel who broadcast the Super Mario Bros. Movie on December 31st, 2024, for example. This is how much influence they had in Japan. But that...
So when the movie came out, they were broadcasting it? Damn, that's like a really tight partnership.
Didn't come without controversies over the years. In 2015, during one of their shows, they had asked South Koreans what they thought of Japan as a whole. And at some point, they had added very incorrect and misleading subtitles to what one South Korean resident said, making people believe that she said, "I hate Japan because it tormented Korea." Because of regional tensions, I'm sure you can understand, this backfired immensely. And Fuji ended up saying, "Sorry guys, it was just a mistake. My bad," and just moved on.
Dude, that was on mistake, bro. They were trying to serve some beef, bro. More beef, because you know how it works, bro. The more beef there is, bro, like the more fire there is, bro, it's just the more entertaining and the more like views you get.
More recently, in the summer of 2024, they had completely invaded the privacy of the Japanese Dodgers baseball player Shohei Ohtani. They flew a drone over his house, showing very sensitive details of where he lives, and also took it a step further by interviewing his neighbors and asking them about him. This was a serious privacy invasion, and they had their press passes revoked for Dodgers games. When asked about this incident, Fuji TV declined to reply. They They didn't even apologize. But while they were able to go through these controversies while suffering minimal losses, what's happening today is the complete opposite. All their sponsors have pulled out, and they will most likely barely even make a profit this year, because it turns out money isn't the only thing that makes you a powerful TV station. It's also about how well you treat your female employees like merchandise and sell them to celebrities for favors. Oh yeah, there's a reason they're facing an existential crisis. But to fully understand the magnitude of the situation, we have to talk about the Japanese idol group SMAP. Established in 1988 when all of its members were practically teenagers, the best way to describe how Japanese people viewed them is the same way the British viewed, I don't know, the Beatles? These guys were absolute superstars in Japan, and it was hard to find
The Japanese Beatles, brother. Japanese equivalent of Beatles, bro. Bro, idol stars, idol bands are so popping, like Japanese, not just Japanese culture, but like Korean culture. I don't know about Chinese culture, but it just be like pop stars and stuff. They be really like idols, bro. They really be big, bro. Like they be big,
find
big.
someone who'd never heard of them, with their music even reaching a worldwide audience. It consisted of these 5 members right here, and when they finally decided to go their separate ways
Like, I wonder how their music was though.
in 2016, putting a stop to any group activities, the country went into mourning. There were petitions that were made for them to not break up, but in the end, they did go their separate ways after almost 40 years. Every single
40
one of these
years.
members went ahead and carved their own path. But
Wait. Did I hear that right? 40 years?
ways after almost 40 years. Every single
So they were like almost 50 when they disbanded?
one of these members went ahead and carved their own path. But we don't really care about that. We only care about one member in particular, and it's this guy in the middle right here,
Damn.
Masahiro Nakai. He would go on to star in so many different TV shows on many different channels and had a show on Fuji TV as well. It was safe to say that any show he was in, people would watch. That's just how much influence SMAP had on Japanese culture. But in this world, you either die a hero or live long enough to become a villain. And this golden age with Nakai would come to an abrupt end when the Japanese weekly tabloid Josei 7 would come out with unbelievable allegations concerning him and a female employee from Fuji TV. On December 19th, 2024, Josei 7 reported that Nakai was supposed to have dinner with a Fuji TV executive and a Fuji TV employee who happens to be a woman, but the executive backed out at the last minute, leaving them alone. During this meeting, a serious issue arose which led to Nakai paying 90 million yen, which is around $580,000, to reach a private legal settlement. 50 million yen, which is around $580,000, to
580,000. Like half a M. 580,000, bro, because you couldn't keep it in your pants, bro.
reach a private legal settlement with the female employee. But that was far from the only bombshell here, because right after, another weekly tabloid by the name of Shukan Bunshun published another allegation accusing the same executive of having set up a bunch of female TV news presenters at Fuji by inviting them to a gathering for the sole purpose of entertaining Nakai. So Shukan Bunshun was pretty much indirectly...
Bro, who does this guy think he is, bro? This guy... Bro, who does my boy feel like, bro? Like, what are you doing? Inviting every female worker, bro, to entertain you.
confirming that this executive setting up women for Nakai was a common practice within the company. Now bear in mind, at this point, both of these reports were allegations. But when it comes to how Japanese media works, the biggest bombshells tend to be usually revealed by these tabloids. Traditional media in Japan will never be the one to talk about this. This is why people have gotten to a point where they trust tabloids more than traditional media in general. And this was enough to make many people believe it. As a result, on January 7th, one of the other big media giants in Japan, Nippon TV, removed every single hint of Nakai on its television channels. All of a sudden, things were getting very serious. Nakai felt the pressure and eventually released a statement. He started this off by apologizing for the inconvenience these reports were causing to everyone. But he also emphasized that some of the reports are not true and that he can't share details because of the agreements he had signed with that woman. He specified that there was absolutely no violence involved and that this was caused due to his incompetence. He ends it by saying, "I sincerely ask that you refrain from speculating or prying into this matter. I offer my sincere apologies to everyone. I am truly sorry." So this was published 2 days after Nippon TV removed any trace of him from their channels, and obviously it doesn't make him innocent at all. If anything, it only confirms what the tabloids were saying. But here's the real kicker. Fuji TV denied the...
Bro, the thing is, bro, he has to say something, bro. If, like, you're literally losing sponsorship, your shows are getting, like, blocked out of these networks that you were good with, you have to say something. You have to come with a statement, bro. So I can't even, like, I can kind of vouch for him because you have to say something, but at the same time, I don't know why I don't know who this man thinks he is, treating female workers like that. Like, that's insane, bro. Treating these employees of these companies you work for like that is crazy.
fact that the executive was involved in any capacity with these incidents and
And if
claimed
the
that
executive was involved too, like, what are you? Why are you treating your employees like that? Like, what?
they were never aware of such incidents occurring, completely denying any responsibility and pinning this all on Nakai. And I'd say the worst part in all this is that this strategy would have actually worked. This is what they've done anytime they were in any controversy, denying it or just simply undermining it and moving on. But this time, it was different because money was involved. On January 15th, an activist investor in Fuji Media Holdings Inc., which is Fuji TV's parent company, urged Fuji's media board to set up a third-party committee to investigate the facts behind the uproar over former J-pop idol turned TV host Masahiro Nakai in a letter that they made public. Now, Fuji's executive board could not avoid this. They had one of their biggest investors demand that they look into this and tell us exactly what happened because it's unacceptable. Well, the executive board was fairly quick. 2 days after the activist investor demanded answers, they held a press conference. The only problem here, though, was that it was a closed-off press conference. Only a few people were allowed to even take pictures. No one was allowed to record. Most media representatives couldn't even ask a question. They could only sit there as a spectator and write things down. And the people who could ask questions weren't really allowed to ask any challenging ones. I don't know who runs public relations in this company, but this was the worst way you could handle this. I think it's very obvious that after this closed-off press conference, the words honesty and transparency were definitely not on people's minds. It only ended up fueling the flames. It was such a disaster that companies like Toyota and Nippon Life Insurance were absolutely rushing to pull their commercials from their TV programs immediately. The people involved in this disastrous panel were the president of Fuji TV, the director of the board of executives at Fuji Media Holdings, the vice chairman of Fuji TV, but the guy regarded as the emperor of Fuji TV, the 87-year-old Hisashi Hieda, didn't even bother showing up. More and more companies were taking their commercials off air and the pressure was mounting. You have to understand, Fuji TV and Fuji Media Holdings' main source of revenue today still is from advertisements. They were watching the majority of the revenue shrink right before their very eyes. They had to do something and they had to do it quick. But as they were trying to figure out what to do, Masahiro Nakai quit showbiz permanently. He said, "As of today, I will retire from entertainment activities on January 23rd, 2025. Just a few days after that disastrous closed-off.
I mean, bro, like, what else can he do, bro? Like, no one's gonna hire him for a show, bro. After all this, like, allegations, bro, no one's gonna like rock with him for real, bro. Like, that's legit was his only option was to quit.
Press conference. At this point, it was undeniable, and Fuji went ahead and did something that had, well, never been done before. They held a press conference that lasted 11 hours and 25 minutes.
Damn.
It was on Monday, January 27th, and it lasted from 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. on Tuesday. There were 437 reporters from 191 agencies present there. It was clear that this was the biggest news story in Japan in a very long time. Here are the main takeaways. Yet again, the emperor of Fuji TV was not present. Many people hold the belief that this old-school culture present at the company was because of Hieda's influence. He led the company in the 80s during its golden age as president, and then stepped down from the position, remaining at the company in a powerful capacity. So many reporters were asking, where is he? And the answer was that, well, he doesn't really oversee such things at Fuji TV. It's the current president of Fuji TV and the chairman that handle day-to-day activities, so they're the ones responsible for this, not him. But what they wanted to make clear was that no executive was actually involved in the dinner, and there was no backing out at the last minute. According to them, what happened was that Nakai had reached out to a woman working at Fuji TV. He invited her out. She had assumed that this was for a professional meeting for the company, but he had other intentions. This happened back in 2023, and Nakai had notified Fuji TV about it in July of 2023. So they lied in their initial statement. They knew exactly what was going on. However, they chose not to get involved because they saw it as a difficult and private matter and would rather just have those two figure it out by themselves. The weekly tabloid Shukan Bunshin then corrected itself and said, yeah, there was no executive involved. She was invited by Nakai. I will say, though, that this isn't enough to verify whether it's true or not. Shukan Bunshin might have made this correction so that they don't get sued for defamation, but we won't really know the truth until there's an investigation. And that's exactly what's going to be happening. They confirmed during the press conference that they're going to be conducting a third-party investigation under the guidelines of the Japan Federation of Bar Associations. It'll be headed by Akira Takeuchi, a lawyer with a background in investigating fraud at major companies, and the results will be published in March of 2025. However, the biggest thing that...
So it's already been posted. Oh, wait, what's the biggest thing? The top officials majors in Japan broadcasters resign over TV host scam. They resigned?
Happened at this conference was the mass resignation of the president and the chairman of Fuji Television Network Inc. The executive vice president of the parent company Fuji Media Holdings is now the president of Fuji TV. He pledged to never tolerate acts that violate human rights and committed to implementing measures to strengthen the company's governance. We'll see if that makes any difference. It's clear that so far, when it came to issues like this, the company would have rather just swept them under the rug rather than actually try to solve them. Such company culture doesn't change overnight. And this blow to their reputation also wasn't going to be solved overnight at all. They had lost all the trust of their audience, and their very existence was under threat. With over 60 Japanese companies stopping business with Fuji TV, they're already expecting a $151 million hit to their revenue, and it's only going to get worse. This also prompted the other four massive titans of the TV industry in Japan to conduct their own internal investigations to find out if things like this were happening in their companies as well.
Yeah, bro, they're definitely getting, because they're seeing this company that's bigger than them lose that much money over stuff like this, bro. yeah, you're gonna have to investigate your own company as well, bro. Like, you gotta be careful.
You had TBS, Nippon TV, TV Tokyo, and TV Asahi all confirm that they're looking into whether their company culture was promoting such things too. In the meantime, the Japanese weren't really heartbroken over this, okay? Some of them have already started to remodel their building into the headquarters of another company like this one right here, 7-Eleven Holdings. They're definitely having a lot of fun with this, I can tell you that much. But overall, seeing Japanese entertainment scandals that have occurred in the past, it's clear that this is a deep-rooted issue within society. Important talent for a network like celebrities aren't usually kept with the promise of only money. It's about prestige, being treated like royalty, and part of it comes with them being paired with beautiful women all the time. This reporter from the YnelsG details her experience with this. How at network events, she would be forced to sit next to celebrities and have to entertain them, even pour them drinks sometimes, when her job sometimes involved her going to war zones to cover the news there. If you ask my opinion, I don't think this new president is going to change much. And I think that unfortunately in the future, even though other TV stations are conducting internal investigations, things like this will not stop from happening anytime soon. But hey, I'm hoping that 7-Eleven does take over this HQ because it does.
This does fit 7-Eleven, bro. This, especially how big 7-Eleven is over in Japan, bro. This looks tough.
Kind of look good. Anyway, thank you so much for watching until the end. I love you so much, and I'll see you in the next video whenever that is.
Wow, damn. It really be these type of scandals, bro. Like, hey, it's a good thing that they're coming to light too, but it's funny how every other company is looking into these scandals because they do not want to get fucked with their money either. But yeah, comment down below what y'all think. I will catch y'all on the next one. Peace.